Welcome to today's episode, Year-End Thoughts, What I Learned. And as another year comes to a close, reflecting on the lessons we've gained, well, it can be a powerful tool for setting ourselves up for future growth. And this process of looking back, it helps us recognize our successes. But it's just as important to assess the activities and ventures that really brought us joy and fulfillment, especially for those in mid-career or the halftime of life. And prioritizing meaningful and enjoyable work, it becomes really increasingly significant. None of us knows exactly how many years we have, so taking the time to evaluate what's working and what isn't, it can be a step towards creating even a better year ahead. And here, I'll share some of my reflections and some key insights from this past year that may inspire you on your own journey. So stay tuned.
This podcast is brought to you by DJ Works Media and HalftimeSuccess.com, offering resources and insights for those at mid-career or the halftime of life. Explore our diverse categories, including courses, coaching, health, music, software, and travel. We're here to help you make this stage of life your best ever. So get our new articles, downloads, and podcasts by signing up for weekly updates at goalsforyourlife.com/newsletter. Now, let's dive into today's episode.
Evaluating the lessons learned over the past year, it's a valuable exercise, especially when considering areas for growth in the year ahead. And I found this very, very important. And this reflection process, it lays the foundation for effective planning and goal setting. So beyond analyzing successes, it's also helpful to identify the activities that brought us the most enjoyment. And as we reach mid-career, halftime of life, those activities and business ventures that are both enjoyable and fulfilling, well, that becomes even more important. And especially, I have found that in my life. So none of us knows really how many more years we've got. So taking this time to see what's working and what isn't, well, it helps us just make more meaningful changes for an even better year ahead. And it shouldn't be stressful. It should be a joyful time of just evaluation. So here are some of my reflections and key insights from this past year in my life and my business. So number one, take the time to thoroughly evaluate new AI tools and keep a detailed record of all tools and subscriptions. Well, that was one of my goals this past year, and it was to reduce the number of annual subscriptions where I have those payments every single month. And where possible, invest in tools that offer lifetime access. Now, this process, it requires careful consideration since many of those AI tools are from startups, which carry risks such as product sales when it goes down or changes that might affect the tool's original purpose or usefulness. And with the rapid release of new AI tools each week, actually, it's tempting to experiment with new options that promise to save time and automate tasks. However, there's a risk in adopting too many tools at once, as it can be distracting and it can drain valuable time, pulling attention away from core responsibilities. So generally, I've tried to be selective, and I've learned from purchasing tools that I later found that really I didn't even have time to fully utilize, or they weren't serving the purpose I thought they would. So although some looked promising, I realized they wouldn't fit into my schedule or into my focus. They were time suckers. So I returned them. But still, I've gained some highly effective tools through this process, which now serve as valuable aids in my work. And I have a carefully documented note of all the tools, even if I don't often access some of them, when accessed, they continue to prove their value. So they have been worth my purchase and adding them to my slate of tools. I put some of those in the halftimesuccess.com. So make sure you check those out. So number 2, this was another one of my areas of evaluation: what to gather and take during an evacuation. Now, when we were evacuated from our home over 20 years ago with fires in our area, well, I packed very differently then compared to our recent evacuation warning. Back then, I loaded up the car with my porcelain dolls, my family mementos, old scrapbooks, and special dishes in several very large boxes. And I also included, of course, my hard drives, books, and writing materials. Now, this time, I focused first on essentials like hard drives, passports, ID, and necessities for our dog, Amelia, along with just a few personal items for overnight stays. And I realized that nearly everything else could be replaced, though it made me recognize how much I rely on my computer, on my cameras, and other tech equipment for my work. And while replaceable, these items, they take time and effort to restore. And I also came to appreciate the importance of being prepared for any emergency. I mean, I've known this, but we've gathered water and some canned food throughout the years actually. But it requires ongoing effort to rotate those expiring food items and improve our readiness for various scenarios, even nuclear ones, which is kind of scary. And with the recent hurricanes in Florida, as a reminder, my husband and I are increasingly focused on having a clear plan, knowing that sometimes you only have the chance to grab the essentials. So those were some good lessons. And number 3, this was part of my evaluation: simplifying my system for greater freedom and accuracy while traveling. Now, the system I created, I teach in my course, A New Way of Doing Business. It's a wonderful course, and it's been invaluable during my travels. And I continue to refine it for my own use. I use that system I teach about. And this approach has not only allowed me to work remotely, but also expanded my ability to host more podcast guests and maintain promotional efforts, whether I'm at my home office or on the road somewhere. And I rely on Google Drive and accessible files from any device, including my phone. You can do this on Dropbox, a number of places. And additionally, I found that emailing videos to myself, very simple system, along with a text I can easily copy and paste for social media posts. It's a very reliable way to keep up with certain platforms quickly and easily with really very little effort. And I can also pre-schedule individual emails as needed. There's so much automation we can use. I talk about this in A New Way of Doing Business. Other tasks I can schedule include LinkedIn articles, though I need to publish videos publicly for those to appear correctly in the articles I found. And scheduling newsletters has become more routine, even when I'm in town, as it automates my process and allows me more flexibility. Now, even though I've implemented my system for travel, I found it works for most any time of the year, and just to create additional freedom. So another evaluation point was expanding my focus to support others in marketing their courses and products and building a supportive community. This has just been fun. A key challenge I face is effectively marketing the many products I've created over the years. And over the years of producing podcasts, I've noticed that many other entrepreneurs and creatives, they share the same challenges. And I also realize there's an isolation that comes from working all by yourself, especially for solopreneurs and small business owners, even if you have a team. And as an affiliate for several products I use and love, which I've been an affiliate for a number of years, wonderful products, I decided to create an expanded affiliate promotion system within my business called Halftime Success. You can find it at halftimesuccess.com. And I'm just building that right now. I'm excited to develop this system further as it gives the Women at Halftime podcasts an added purpose to serve as a platform that markets and supports other businesses and entrepreneurs. And my hope is that this initiative will grow in the coming years and become really a trusted resource for those at mid-career or the halftime of life. And ideally, it will become a hub for entrepreneurs and businesses seeking resources, community, and encouragement. We all need that encouragement from each other. And another evaluation and change I did this year was creating a simple system for podcast video editing to enable outsourcing and to be able to take on more podcast interviews. Now, to streamline video editing for podcast episodes, I shifted from editing clips featuring cut-ins of guests interspersed with the full view of both guests and myself as the interviewer to just the full view of both of us all the way through for simplicity. And this adjustment allowed me to establish a repeatable system that could be managed by a trusted editing team. And I have that resource listed in the article, additional resources, wonderful team. And this change has significantly reduced my weekly workload, freeing up time for additional podcast interviews and creative projects. And a key goal of my podcasting is to inspire and support those at mid-career or the halftime of life in building a meaningful next chapter, while also featuring fascinating businesses and entrepreneurs through engaging interviews that may not have just cut through the mainstream. And expanding this goal has been just extremely rewarding. And I'm very pleased with the system now in place, which is really working smoothly. Though I consistently take time to check every edited video on my video editing for accuracy. That's very important. And it's also led me to consider other tasks that I could delegate to create even more time for high impact projects. A thought I'll keep in mind for the future with some of the assistants I already have. So let's conclude this. As I reflect on my past year, I'm grateful for the lessons I learned and the progress made, both personally and professionally. It's been a fun journey. And each insight, whether about simplifying systems, prioritizing meaningful work, or just building a supportive community, it's reinforced the importance of intentional growth and adaptability. It just doesn't happen. And moving into the new year, I'm excited to carry forward these lessons, to continue refining my approach, and to embrace new opportunities, really with an open mind. And my wish for you is that you take the time to evaluate what you have learned this past year. It takes time to reflect on what really the next year can bring, building on what you've done before. Dream a little. Evaluate carefully what worked best and really what didn't, and what didn't you enjoy as well. I mean, we all have to do some of those things, but also really focus on what you loved to do as best as that's the best and important part of the process. So here's to another year of learning, evolving, and making the most of every moment. And make sure you check out our additional resources to help you grow and learn. We just have a lot of those, especially on halftimesuccess.com. And check out the video editing. Actually, I have a couple sources for video editing that are trusted resources that I know will serve you well. But do your own research. That is very, very important. Don't just depend. We all know that, right? You don't just depend on an ad. You really need to check it out thoroughly, especially when you're talking about important items of life. So thank you so much for joining me. It has been a wonderful, this is the end of the year now as this is coming out. And I've had a great year of growth in my personal life and in my professional life, had a lot of fun, really evaluated really what this point I've been doing a lot of virtual work because of the amount of travel I've been doing with my husband and just family visits. And but I've also been doing other select live engagements and enjoy them so much as I take on what fits into my schedule. So thank you so much for joining me. Love doing what I'm doing. And I really appreciate all of you who hang with us. And we have a wonderful year ahead. I have wonderful guests in the podcast and a lot of new items for you to check out. goalsforyourlife.com/newsletter. Make sure you're getting that. We don't send spam. We don't just overly send you advertisements like so many do. You just get a twice a week at your inbox, and it has an article in it, the new podcasts, so you don't miss a single one. At least you know what they are. And so thanks again for joining me. I look forward to being with you next time, and actually next year. Bye-bye for now.
Thank you for joining us. It is because of our wonderful listeners like you that we keep going strong week after week. We'd love it if you'd share and follow us to not miss a single show and even write a review. You can also find all of our articles, products, and links at womenathalftime.com.